This is the Between Ghosts of El Paso Part 6. Let's do some recapping. A few days have passed, and it seems like Clarence O'Toole has skipped out of town and is perhaps no longer a thing you need to be concerned with. Out of character, the Daisy Man is a servant of the masterminds, and so that threat is off the table. But we still have the corset. You currently have 3 clues on a complexity 6 or 8, just different ways of getting this entity to be gone. I did want to check in about this one a little bit though, because I'm in this weird place where both my games I'm running this one and I'm trying to like not get wires crossed. Did you all meet Lady Antonia?
Yes, like
Okay.
several of our characters did.
Okay, so I'm gonna note her here just so that I know that she's in play.
And we have a clue that Lady Antonia gave the corset to one of the victims.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You do. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And she knows Sister Mary's
Past in
original
London.
persona,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Anyway, we've got three clues on that threat. And then otherwise, we don't have any other active threats because you resolved Ghost Riders last time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the hunters really quickly. Currently, Slade has 2 conditions. Wyatt has none. Sister Mary has 2, one of which is pious. And the Sidewinder Kid has 3. So we'll see if that keeps being an issue. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, then let's go ahead and present a brand new threat. You can follow along on the tab if you wish. Now, this threat is called The Hunt for the Rebel Gold. I will note here that it has a lot of moving parts, this threat, so just pay close attention to the presentation. The wreckage of CSS Memphis, a Confederate ironclad, was found on the Mexico shore of the Rio Grande 2 weeks ago, just a few miles upriver from El Paso. In recent days, you've become aware of the presence of 2 new rival factions in the area. The Rurales, a group of law enforcers from Mexico, and the Skaggs Brothers gang, made up of former Confederate soldiers. These groups are here for one reason: to find a cache of gold that was supposedly on Memphis back during the war, and that has never been recovered. There's a typo there. Catch that typo real quick before we go any further. Hold on one sec. If I don't make a note of it, I'll forget for later.
Yeah, shoot it to me and I'll fix it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, they're there, drawn by the arrival of this wreckage, right? And this rumor of Confederate gold. Early this morning, the Vigilance Committee and a number of townsfolk were witness to a spectral reverberation. A stagecoach filled with men wearing Confederate soldier uniforms being chased through the streets of El Paso by what appeared to be a group of rurales on horseback. The scene was completely silent and totally harmless. It was just a ghostly echo of something that happened in the past. But you were able to note a few things before it disappeared. First, a rural shot by one of the men on the stagecoach crawled to safety into what is now the town stable. Second, one of the men on the stagecoach jumped from the vehicle, a black bag clutched under his arms. He retreated into what is now the feed store. And third, the stagecoach broke down in an alley behind the old Methodist church where a shootout occurred. But again, this was just like watching a silent film just play out in front of you. Do we have any hunters with the Cosmic Passage marked right now? I think Slade does, but I'm not sure if anyone else does. I think it's just Slade. Yeah. So Slade, the spectral reverberation disappeared shortly after the shootout behind the church, but you are able to summon it again. You can rewatch it as you wish and even freeze it in place to look at the details more closely. Now, the Memphis is a problem. During the day, it's just the harmless wreckage of an old ship from the war. But at night, it comes alive, firing its cannons at anyone who comes near it. And it's moving a little further downriver with each passing day. What's more, you've each been dreaming of gold ever since the wreckage turned up, which makes you think the missing gold is what's anchoring the ghostly ship to this world. You're going to have to find that gold before the Rurales or the Skaggs brothers do if you hope to send this ghost ship on its way. Fortunately, the information from the spectral reverberation is an advantage you have over these factions. We have one question right now. Where is the missing gold? It's a complexity 4, and it unlocks the next question. We also have an aspect of the Janus mask called the Mask of Gold. Each hunter narrates a dream about gold they've been having ever since the Memphis wreckage washed ashore. How does the gold in the dream help you fulfill all your hopes and desires? So there's a lot going on here, but ultimately, you got to find this gold because the gold is connected to the ship, and the ship is a problem. The ship is getting closer and closer to El Paso every day. So this one's on a timer as well.
This is a highly embarrassing question, but I need to ask.
Yeah.
The Confederates are which side?
They were the South that were
South,
defeated.
okay.
The traitors that were defeated during
Yeah.
the war.
What's the other side called?
The Union. Yeah.
The Union. Okay. Yeah. Very embarrassing. I don't know U.S. history at all.
Yeah,
I just
the
wanted
Confederates.
to check.
The Confederates wore gray uniforms, and
the Union wore blue.
The Confederate flag is now largely recognized as like a symbol of hate and things like that.
Yeah, we got a lot of trucks up here in Alberta with those.
yeah, you saw that a lot during the convoy. Okay, so anyway, there are no more, like, at this period in time, the only like leftovers are just like of the war are just people like the Skaggs brothers who are just, they formed a gang because they are connected by the war basically, and they're looking for gold along with the Rurales. So let's find out what everybody wants to do today. Got an interesting new threat. Slade, you're able to look at that ghostly echo whenever you want, and rewind it and pause it like a video, and walk around it like a VR simulation. But the corset is also doing its thing. The corset is, I can't remember. Did we end with like the corset doing something dramatic, killing someone in public last?
Yeah, we did. The corset went. Just there was a show on the stage in the and panic was unleashed.
Yeah, like unraveled somebody on stage.
That's right.
Sorry, I need more coffee this morning. I'm not putting words together.
So yeah, Diamond and Lola and Diamond Dave are having a harder time keeping business going at the Red Rock. So they are probably going to be bugging the hell out of the Vigilance Committee to get this sorted out. So you got two things to kind of cope with right now. And also you can do vulnerable scenes if you wish, or aim toward answering your Dawn questions in the affirmative. Sister Mary Erstwhile, what are you doing today?
I have some stuff to do around town. I imagine I'll probably drag Travis around if he's willing to be lectured at, and possibly do I can't use my vice right now, but if you wanted to clear up some conditions, you could probably use yours.
You're muted, Rob.
Yeah, that would make sense since I have 3 conditions. I guess, first of all, I should check in with Wyatt and see if he has a task for me. But
yeah, we'll have that scene first. Wyatt, after that scene, what do you want to do?
All of my task to Travis and all the other deputies, and what I want to be doing this morning is trying to bring in one of these, low-ranking Skaggs brothers on some petty mischief, lock him up, and try and get some information from him or Del Sol. I don't care.
I've got some leads for the Skaggs if you need them. Slade, what are you going to do today?
I think I'd like to play with the ghost echo a little bit, see if I can follow one of them to somewhere and see what I can find. Yeah. If possible, I'd love to get my leg in better order.
Yeah, I think probably, the most efficient way of doing that is probably just to frame up a vulnerable scene to do it. Otherwise, if you just want to have a scene with a doctor or something who gives you some medicine, we can also do that. So
Seems like everyone else is booked. So
okay, sounds good. Why did you want the scene with Travis, or?
I don't know. It's probably just like a quick cut of all of the deputies meeting at the jailhouse in the morning, and he's just like pointing at wanted posters for Skaggs Brothers, like, these people are in town, go get them. That's about it.
Sounds good. Then let's just have the scene with Sister Mary and Travis.
I think Sister Mary gets Travis to meet her at her place and then walk to the church. She's got a bag or a box, some kind of thing, holding what is the remnants of the little shrine that she had built in her closet, with the random pieces of bone and various things she's basically stolen from different places. And she's feeling great. The world is beautiful, and she doesn't need this. This is false idols, you know? So she's planning to walk to the church and destroy this, throw it out. And it seems a good opportunity to make sure that, you know, Travis's soul is getting into heading in the right direction. She spotted him making eyes at some of those dance girls last night, so gotta nip that one in the bud.
Take it away.
Yeah, I think Travis shows up at her place, but not wanting to intrude, waits outside, and he's kind of propped up on the the railing where you tie the horse, and he has a dog-eared Western adventure novel that he's engrossed in, and not really paying too much attention to the time.
She stumbles out the door, her arms are full, and basically shoves a big bag into Travis for him to grab. Oh, what's this you're reading? Oh, this is one of your little books, isn't it? Let's see then. Let's see it.
Well, yes, ma'am. And he hands it over and takes the bag from her.
So what's like the theme of this book? Is this like a Tijuana Bible, or like a, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything like that. He wouldn't read that in public.
Fair enough.
I think it's Adventures of the Pony Express, that kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, stories are important, and I can really see that there's some beauty in the artistry here, of course, and of course the heroism, all of that. But you have to be sure that you are reading these appropriately. And you have to make sure that if you're going to be reading, you should be spending more time reading certain other books, you know what I mean, than this book.
What type of book you mean? Like history and such?
Young Mr. Walker, I do hope you're jesting. I really do. If you don't, oh goodness, just one moment, and I think she goes running inside and comes running back out with a pretty worn copy of the Bible. It's got, I'm not sure what edition it is because I don't know enough about the different editions, but it's got, you know, some dog ears and stuff, just kind of like his book, actually, his dime novel. Now, there's some excellent stories in here. I think you're really gonna like them. Probably more than this. And I think she kind of throws the dime, the dime book, the dime novel over her shoulder, lands in a puddle.
Well, wait now. The Bible? Well, sure, I learned some of these stories when I was in Sunday school, but I don't know, the old-timey language in here, it ain't exactly the easiest thing to read.
The trick with the Bible is to translate it into a language that you understand. Sure, they might be saying the these and thous every now and then, but you can just reword that. When you're reading it, don't read the thee or the thou, read a y'all or a partner or a howdy, you know?
Well, I
And
never thought
God
of it
said
like
to
that.
Moses, "Howdy."
And maybe one of these days somebody will write one of these sort of novels and it'll be like the Bible. You could have even little funnies in it, some pictures, some laughs. You could call it oh, I don't know, a dime tract or something like that. I'm not sure.
Sister Mary invents the early 80s. Christianity in the early 80s. Congratulations.
The chick tract,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Travis takes the Bible kind of, well, he's holding this big bag, but he kind of takes it somewhat dubiously and shoves it into a pocket of his coat.
Now I expect you to read that, and probably tomorrow I'll ask you some questions about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun reading this.
Is there any particular passage you think I should pick out, or do I just start at the beginning?
I just start at the very beginning, work your way through. The beginning is the real beginning, the actual beginning of everything. So if you start there, I mean, everything's just building blocks.
Well, I remember the story at the beginning, the lady and the snake and such, but I'm sure I can read it again.
Yeah,
You think
there's a lot more other ones in there. There's a story where bears eat a bunch of children. There's a story where a man gets all of his hair cut off. There's lots of great stories.
I love it.
Gus, that man getting his hair cut off don't sound too exciting to me, but okay.
Very good, very good. I like where this is going. I think I've got it. I think that was actually maybe probably Travis's vice.
I was
really
attempting that, yeah.
Yeah, I think because I don't think like you weren't being scourged as usual by Sister Mary. So I would say it's probably yours. But in any case, you both get to clear condition if you I think you can make the case for angry pretty easily there, Sister Mary. What do you think, Travis?
Maybe short of breath.
How so?
I don't know. I was just thinking that's the one I've had the longest and is kind of the least, maybe the least narratively interesting for spinning things out.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I think it's good. Just feels like
it wasn't justifying it particularly on the content of the scene.
No, it's okay. Fabulous. I love it. And you get to pick the bonus. So go ahead and think about what bonus you want, or actually decide now in case you're gonna. So Sister Mary can think of a question.
I think I'll take a clue.
Okay, think on the clue. Let's cut over to Slade. Slade, are you going to start by going to the doctors or by looking at the reverberation?
Maybe it's on the way to the doctors that he encounters the reverberation.
Yeah. Yeah, the reverberation is interesting. So I think you're walking on the street and it's a funny day. I think you see a dog digging a hole and then dropping a bone in there to defend it from people finding it. Somewhere in the distance, you can hear a flute playing Dixie. And this gold rumor is starting to take off. There's a group of townspeople spurred on by these rumors of buried treasure, kind of watching in wondrous anticipation or abject skepticism as a man takes slow steps guided by the dowsing rod balanced in his hands. This rebel gold thing is becoming a thing in town. But you are able to see the spectral reverberation again. And merely by thinking on it, you're able to cause it to repeat and stop as you wish. It is the galloping of a dozen horses, stagecoach wheels ripping into the dirt, but all of it perfectly silent. You see gun smoke, but it smells of fresh, clean air. And there are glowering faces looking back from the stagecoach or looking at the stagecoach from the point of view of the rurales, these faces, but none of them see you. They're looking at each other. I paint the scene, and this is just for you, Slade. despite the violence, there's something beautiful about this scene. What is it?
I think any given frame could pass for a painting, and Slade stops for a while and watches and just looks at the horses, and they are in their peak of health and clearly doing what they were bred to do, and it's such a well composited scene. He can't help but stare and watch.
Yeah. So what do you do?
After, I imagine, watching with some curiosity as the image goes back and forth to his liking, I think he will focus on the man who had the bag, who went into the feed store, and just start following him as he walks, or as he limps, I suppose.
Yeah. You can follow. I can't remember who went to the feed store. I think it was
Some man from the
it
stagecoach.
was one of the Confederates, on the stagecoach. You can just go right into the feed store. It's the K&D Feed and Seed. You see stacks of tall metal jugs with creamery embossed on them. There are barrels filled with grain, wheat, barley, oats, rye. Rakes and hoes and other farm implements are hanging behind the counter. And you can follow the man going into the feed store, and he walks to the back of the feed store with his bag, and he kneels down, and he's like messing with something on the ground, although whatever it is not in the reverberation. But let's paint the scene with the feed store, everyone. The K&D Feed and Seed is one of the oldest buildings in El Paso. Looking around, how do we know that?
I think if you follow the walls, you will see the grade and age of wood changing from the center of the store to the outside as it's been expanded over the years.
Yeah, the original store was built of wood planking, but as more and more people moved to the area and managed to make bricks, they put bricks on the outside, but the inside is still like the wood.
There's a sign on the inside over the door that says established and the date that, or the year that the building was built.
Yeah, and there's like extremely faded paint on the outside of the store that's, used to be a huge advertising hoarding for the store itself, but now it's like so faded you basically can't read it.
Nice. You were greeted pretty quickly, Slade, by the owner of the K&D. His name is August Kilkenny. He's the K in K&D. He's a heavyset man whose wide striped shirt makes him look kind of like a circus tent. He has a mustache like a hairbrush, and he has oats stuck between his teeth. He says, "Oh, well, hello, Mr. Slade. Haven't seen you in recently.
Yes.
Can I help you? Did you need something for your horse, or perhaps a container of cream? I'm trying to think of a word here. A flagon of cream. I don't know what the hell cream comes in. I'm just thinking of that
Jug,
scene in Schitt's Creek where Alexis gets like 12 things of raw milk. It's one of those things, right? Yeah. So he's like, "What do you want?"
No. And then belatedly as he walks past, "Thank you."
He's like, all right. Well, just let me know if you need anything. And he kind of goes back to pretending to move things to the left and to the right, or moving one thing a little bit over. That's what you do when you're just doing busy work.
Slade
So what do you
will
do?
just kind of pause for a minute and then say, "Do you recall a carriage passing through with men up board and a gunfight.
Oh, yes, 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 I do. That's what some of the folks are talking about. There was some kind of strange vision people saw earlier today, huh?
Others saw it.
Well, yes, I think so. I mean, they must have, because people have come in and, well, somebody said somebody came right in through here, and I didn't see anybody come in. But I have a feeling I know what this is about. I've been putting two and two together, and I think that what people saw was some sort of flashback to something that did in fact happen here in town a number of years ago. I saw that man come in here. In fact, I damn near shot the son of a bitch. I saw that gray uniform and the old instincts kicked in, you see. But then I realized it was something else going on. You know, he was trying to be quiet, but he was too quiet. And you can actually see the man like there, like doing this as he's like describing it. He's trying to be quiet, but he was too quiet. I couldn't even hear the faintest squeak from his boot rubber.
Did you see where he went?
He's like, and he kind of like backs up a little. And he's like, well, Mr. Slade, he's in here right now.
Slade will look around and
He's
say,
looking at the same man. You can both see him.
you can see the vision.
I can indeed. I take it you can as well, Mr. Slade.
I can.
Maybe they should put me on the vigilance committee, huh?
Perhaps. You might be of use.
Well, I've seen him a few times now today. Look at this part right here. And here you see the vision lifting up a floorboard and then putting the floorboard down. And then it ends.
Have you already searched beneath?
I have not. I do not fancy tearing up my good new floor because of a ghost.
I would be happy to.
He says, I'm sure you would. Well, as long as I get some sort of restitution, or perhaps a cut of this gold everyone's talking about.
That is acceptable.
Indeed. Let's cut over to Wyatt. Wyatt. Lloyd comes in. He says, Marshall, I've got a lead.
What you got there, Lloyd?
Well, I've talked to a few people, and they seem to think that the Skaggs brothers are currently hiding out in the old Aztec cave.
The whole gang of them, huh?
Well, that's what I've been told, Sheriff. That's what I've been told. I mean, I suppose we could ride out there and bring our guns and, gun them all down, shoot them dead. Frontier justice.
That really what you think happens out here, Lloyd?
Well, when I took the job, I thought we were going to do, a sight more shooting and hanging and killing than we have been so far, Marshall.
Yeah, that's not actually how things are done. That's just the dime stories. What are you even going to do with that BB gun of yours?
He's like, now come on, Marshall. Let's just go out there and see. And if we just happen to find one or two of them, exposed.
I'll tell you what we're going to do, Lloyd. We're going to go over to the saloon.
Okay.
We're going to find one of them.
Okay.
And we're going to bring him in for some local ordinance they're failing to be following. We're not going to ride out and face the entire Skaggs gang in the Aztec caves where they could just as easily kill us as we kill them. We're going to do a little reconnaissance and interrogation before we try something like that.
Deputy Wainwright comes in. He's like, Sheriff, do I understand correctly that we're supposed to be looking for Skagses? Skag's
Yes.
Eye?
I prefer Skeegs.
He's like, well, I think Cletus Skaggs is over in the what saloon? Oh, we'll just say the Rio Grande. Over at the Rio Grande right now. Do you know how I
What?
know?
How do you know, Deputy
Because I
Wainwright?
said, hey, aren't you Cletus Skaggs?
And then what happened?
Well, he threatened me, and I ran.
Excellent work, Deputy.
Lloyd's like, I just think we should go shoot him, Marshal. He's clearly a danger to the community.
Just shoot him. Just for nothing.
Well, for just general, general malignancy.
I don't think we've got that one even in the local ordinances. Come on, though. Let's go. Lead the way, Deputy.
And the deputy's like, well, I also heard a rumor, this is Wainwright, that there might be some skags out, out by the, and he's kind of like trying
Spit
to
it out.
clearly, he's like, maybe someone should stay back and look for stray skags roaming around.
You know what? That sounds like a fine plan. I'll be here and the two of you bring Cletus in.
And they look at each other, and Lloyd's ready. Dudley seems more hesitant. They're like, all right, and they go get Cletus Skaggs. Anything you want to do while you're waiting on Cletus?
Yeah. Let's talk with our friend the cellmate.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to that. So what was your clue, Travis, that you found, and for what threat?
I was trying to figure out something biblical to do with the corset. So I was thinking, Amanda suggested this actually, that Travis is kind of flicking through Leviticus and comes across the section about the prohibition on mixing fabrics.
Okay. That's get these really, really old Leviticus things involved here.
And that, somehow that ties into, I don't know, I haven't thought this through super well yet, but
we can put the biblical prohibition on mixing fabrics. Good luck making that part of your theory.
I should have suggested something easier.
I mean, at least there is fabric involved in the thing, so that's good.
Right.
Maybe it's more of a symbolic,
that's the theory,
a figurative idea, right? So, good. Well, so Sister Mary, what are you doing once you're done chatting with Travis? And Travis, presumably, you're going to go help grab Cletus as well, right?
Oh, for sure. If I know that that's happening.
Oh, I'm sure Deputy Wainwright will come up to you and say, Travis, your brother wants you to go with Lloyd to go bag Cletus Skaggs over at the Rio Grande. Morning, Sister Mary.
Well, Sister Mary, you heard that. I got business to attend to. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. And
I suppose I can carry this all by myself.
And Travis is looking very puffed up as he kind of strides off to deal with this threat.
Yeah, that's good. Well, so Sister Mary, what are you going to do then?
The bag of stuff that used to be the shrine bits.
Dudley will help you.
She's gonna. Oh, excellent. So she shoves the bag at Dudley and basically storms off and gestures for him to follow without even telling him
He
that
does
that's
follow.
what they're doing.
He's like, where are we going, Sister Mary? What is all this stuff?
Oh, don't you worry about any of that. It's all in the hands of God now. And she just goes up the road to the new church, and out back where they're going to be eventually setting up a small like churchyard graveyard for the town. Not like a it's not going to be big enough for everybody in El Paso, but probably people who are, like the mayor, that kind of thing. Important people in El Paso would be buried behind the church. And she points at a shovel, points at a spot in the ground. Dudley, if you wouldn't mind.
And he's like, yes, sister, yeah, I will certainly do as you want me to do. And what do you want me to do?
Oh, I need a hole dug. Probably 5 feet deep, big enough for this bag.
So the thing is, Sister Mary, I've got this lower back issue that makes it difficult for me to do anything where I have to bend at a greater than a 35-degree angle.
That is just a real sin. Here, I'll give you some blessings. That'll give you some strength to carry on for the rest of the day so that you can manage to do this. This is God's work, you know.
And he's like,
And there
all
is
right.
some beauty in pain when you think about it. Bodies that are created in the image of the Lord. Well, we experience all of what we should be experiencing because of the Lord, including pain. So I just punched my microphone, sorry. So your pain really is a gift from God that you get to experience today.
He kind of goes for the first shovel full of dirt with the shovel, and he's like, I should have went and grabbed that Skaggs's digs.
Like, Sister Mary waves and says, don't look in that bag now. I have to go and do some vigilance committee things. Good luck. Walks off.
Meanwhile, let's check in with Travis and Lloyd at the Rio Grande. Cletus Skaggs is there. He has a confident sneer, a very punchable face. He's actually wearing a Confederate cavalry coat over his normal clothes. Very dusty. Seems like he's been riding the trails for a while. He is armed with multiple weapons. And it is well known that he killed his own brother to have total control over the gang. He's a rough character. What do you do?
Travis looks toward the other deputy and says, now, you just wait here by the door. I'll deal with this.
He's
Steps inside.
He's like, all right. If you sense him going for his gun, or even thinking about going for his gun, I recommend you put a bullet right through his head.
Oh, I won't be shy about that. Don't worry. And yeah, Travis steps inside and just calls out, Cletus Skaggs.
He looks up and he's like, well, who the hell are you? The barman says, why, that's the Sidewinder Kid. And Cletus says, the Sidewinder Kid? Well, they got the kid part right. You look like you're barely 15 years old.
I'm the law around here, Mr. Skaggs.
The law? Well, that's not much of a law to be worried about then if you're the one responsible for enforcing it. Little baby law. That's all that is. A baby law. Little baby law enforcer for a baby law.
We'll see about that, but the marshal needs you to come with me.
And he's like, and what makes you think I'm going to go with you to go talk to the marshal? I ain't done nothing wrong. I ain't violated one of your little baby laws.
I ain't accusing you of nothing, mister, but I'll just say it's in your best interest to do as I tell you.
Let's do the day move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm not afraid of him hurting me because I know I can beat him, but I'm afraid of him, injuring someone else. Or I'm also afraid that Wyatt wants him alive, so I don't want to kill him.
Yeah. I think this is going to be with presence because you're kind of threatening him, I guess. Let's take a look at your conditions to see if any of those apply. No one will remember me. I'm putting it at disadvantage because he doesn't give a shit about you.
Right. I was
Your baby
thinking the
laws.
same thing. So this is presence. Okay, my presence is good, but disadvantage. Oh, that's a 11. Rolled 9 and my presence is 2.
You want to bump it and get a bonus?
Why not? Yeah.
I'll give you a clue as well when you take them in. Mark A. Janus Mask. But he goes willingly. He's like, all right, I'll play along. I ain't done nothing wrong. So I ain't got nothing to worry about, do I? Little baby deputy.
If you ain't done nothing wrong, then you ain't got nothing to worry
Look at
about.
them
My brother's a
spurs.
fair man.
Spurs are bright, silver, and shiny like they ain't never been used for nothing but walking around, kicking dirt. A sidewinder kid with his shiny little baby spurs.
You keep talking, mister.
Oh, I'm going to keep talking, sidewinder kid. I'm going to keep talking because I ain't done nothing wrong. And in any case, you ain't going to do nothing about it.
You come keep talking to my brother.
Wyatt, I think you see them coming up the road, and Travis looks really pissed. Like, Cletus Skaggs is probably not the most pleasant company. But we'll come back to this. Slade, let me have information move with vitality, actually. You're muted.
Oh, that's not my best stat.
Yeah, and I think if you're
That's a
also like
12.
helping do the stuff, I think your lag might be a problem as well.
Oh. Then it's a 7.
You still get your clue, though. You manage to get enough of the floor up, and you do see, well, you see that black bag. It is there. And Kilkenny's like, oh boy, you think that's the hidden gold, Mr. Slade?
No.
It's like, too easy, huh?
Too light.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And he kind of reaches down there to grab it.
Just give him a very hard stare and say, it's ghost business. Be mindful.
He's like,
It may be cursed.
He's like, I highly doubt that, Mr. Slade. I mean, what could possibly be down here after probably a number of years that wouldn't have already caused trouble or manifestations?
Touch it and the deal is off.
He's like, fine, I won't touch it. After you.
Reach down and drag it out.
It's very light, actually. If you open it up, inside there are what appear to be a collection of skeletal hands. The meat, there's a bunch of dried, withered meat in the bag and around the bones that seem to indicate they were probably fresh hands when they were buried. How do you feel when you touch the hands?
Disappointed. I
He
can't
goes,
get anything from this. It won't speak.
yeah. He reaches for one and takes one and holds it up. And you can tell that it has kind of a power over him. His eyes go vacant. His mouth falls open, and a little bit of drool dribbles onto his circus tent shirt. It's like he's going catatonic. What do you do?
Gonna just snatch the hand from him.
He comes out of it. He's like, well, that's pretty disappointing, huh? No gold, just a bunch of hands. What do you suppose it means, Mr. Slade?
I aim to find out.
Right. Well, don't forget our deal if you find that gold.
Of course. And Mr. Kilkenny, a question, since you see the spirits. I've been having images in my head at night, like memories. It is distressing. Do you also experience this?
Well, only memories of my ex-wife, and they are plenty distressing, let me assure you. No, I can't say as I do, but I also smoke an incredible amount of opium, Mr. Slade.
Does it help?
Oh, yes.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Kilkenny.
Let's cut over to Wyatt, or I guess Travis stepped away for a moment, so we'll cut over to Sister Mary. Sister Mary, what are you doing right now?
I'm going to go inspect the alley behind the old Methodist church. I imagine it's probably not that far from where my church is. I feel like churches tend to cluster.
The alley behind the Methodist church is cramped, and some nearby buildings still have visible fire damage. This church burned down a while back. People have been using the alley to actually store junk. So it's just a tight alley with a building right behind it and a bunch of junk kind of piled up in there. But paint the scene, everyone. What evidence of the shootout depicted in the spectral reverberation is visible even today?
Simple bullet holes in wooden planks of the walls.
There's a large stone. It looks like somebody who probably perished on the stone, and somebody had painted their outline on it.
On the side of the church, you can see scraping where the carriage blew past just before the shootout.
There's a perceptible change in the temperature. It's like a cold spot.
Well, Sister Mary, what do you do?
Is there anybody around that may have been kind of back in this alley when this spectral reverberation happened that might have seen it as it happened? You're muted.
Let me take a look. Well, possibly. So I don't know if she was around during the shootout, but Myrna Stokes, who's a local do-gooder, is frequently, she's been kind of trying to like raise money to restore the church. So she might just know generally about stuff that's happened around the church. You can go find her. She's not around right now. There's also Mr. Feeney, a local drunk who tends to see a lot and know a lot. And he's always around. Red-faced, swollen nose.
Okay. I think since I'm already in this alley, I would like to. I don't really have a move I think I can use. Hold on. I'm just going to double check what my moves are because I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Now that I've changed some things, or not changed things, now that I have the pious. Just want to make sure I understand what's going on here. Okay, that doesn't help me at all. So I think what I would like to do is, Sister Mary pulls out her very large crucifix that she wears around her neck and holds on to it and looks around the alley. She knows that ghosts are real, of course, and that this reverberation is probably some sort of spectral thing like that. And she's just hoping for some inspiration, from her faith to lead her to where she needs to look to investigate in this alley to get some idea of what might be happening.
Are you trying to trigger a particular move here? Or are you just
Nah, just doing
investigating
an
with sensitivity?
investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You do the information move with sensitivity, go for it.
awesome.
And
Like,
if
I
you
don't
have
want
a
it to be
if you have a
with
relevant
reason
item,
because
you can get an advantage if you
I always forget about the items, and I already rolled, so I think I'm just going to accept my. Oh, that's a 10. I'm going to accept my 10.
very good. We'll come back to that. Okay, so Wyatt and Travis and Cletus. I don't know where Lloyd got off to. You can see them coming up the road. You can hear Cletus before you see them, Wyatt. He's going on about, he's clearly just trying to rile up Travis. Travis, I will say that while you are walking up, while you are kind of leading him to the marshal's station. Oh, actually, I owe Wyatt a scene with the cellmate. We'll do that in a bit. I'm going to give you a clue though. Cletus is wearing a ring that depicts an Aztec eagle. That's your clue. Might need some context later on, but that's something to note right now. I'm going to check in with Wyatt briefly, with Del Sol. Del Sol stretches. Ah, Marshall Walker. What's all this business about rebel gold everyone's talking about?
It's always something, Del Sol.
Isn't it, though?
Isn't it?
It is. It is. Well, you know me, Marshall. I'm just here sleeping it off. You know how I do.
So it seems. But you said something interesting if last we spoke. You said you were at the assemblage. Is that right?
I was. Though you might not have seen me there. I tend to.
I didn't see you there, so I figured you must have been upstairs or in the other room or downstairs, getting up to something interesting.
Maybe. I have had a chance to wander about the Red Rock Cantina from time to time, especially in the dark.
I sure would like to know the things you see there, or hear about there
Well, I
in the
suppose I
dark.
don't have to tell you, Marshall, that there is something incredibly evil at the Red Rock right now.
That's what I gather. And I'd love to know a little bit more, especially about this outsider, this Antonio from overseas. Rumor has it she might have brought the fool thing with her. You
Make the
wouldn't know
information
anything about
move,
that,
or
would
make
you, Del
this
Sol?
make the Del Sol move, or the cellmate move. See how that goes.
Okay. Yikes. We got snake eyes, but I'm gonna use a mask for sure to get that
I can't
a
remember if
little
anything
higher.
any particular happens on a miss. No. Well, I'll narrate what he says first if you want to hear it.
Sure.
He says, Marshall, Marshall, I don't know if I should be the one to tell you this, but everything you see around you, Marshall, this is all just, it's like the stage at the Red Rock Dance Hall. It's just artifice. None of it is real. This town, this building, the dirt beneath your boots, it's all just a phantasm in the imagination of something that lives between the lines, something that walks between places. We are like dolls in a dollhouse of its making. I could certainly give you more of a glimpse at this thing if you wish, Marshall. I know where to look upon it, but I'm afraid it would shatter your mind. Or worse, drive you to drink like me. And then you'd find yourself waking up in a cell every day. This endless purgatory. Would you like to take a look, Marshall?
I think I'll be marking a mask.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna take the darkened threshold, but I think the scene is gonna be imminent with Cletus.
Let's read the darkened threshold. It says, narrate a scene in which you inflict excessive violence on someone in the name of the law. Okay, good. Oh, Lloyd will be love to see that. So good. So instead, on the 7 to 9, what does Del Sol do? It just gives you a clue, I guess.
Right, but now his disposition should be changed.
It is his disposition. Oh, huh. He'll make his little speech still. He'll say, Marshall, I have had the opportunity to walk the halls of the Red Rock at night. I have conferred with the thing. I've talked to it. I've touched it. I've let it touch me. I find myself driven by an overpowering desire. An overpowering desire to be someone different. And he raises up. He has a knife in his hand. To be
Where'd you
someone
get
different.
that, Del Sol? You're not supposed to have anything sharp in there with you.
No, I suppose I'm not, Marshall. You want to come into the cell and take it away from me, Marshall?
I think I start to like reach for the key, but I'm like moving very slowly.
He draws the knife across his cheek, drawing blood. We will all wear a mask, Marshall. He's now
I feel
cutting.
I feel a bead of sweat running in the same spot on my face.
He's cutting along his jaw. We all wear a mask. It's all too easy to slip on the mask and pretend like none of this is really happening to us, that we are someone else. But the corset sees us for as we truly should be. There's blood dribbling quite profusely down his neck now. It's actually dribbling on one of his sun tattoos, and it makes the sun tattoo look like the wounded night sun.
Like I open the cell and take out my bloody handkerchief, and I'm like patting, like, you got to stop it, Del Sol. You quit that now.
And then I think at that point, because I do owe you a clue, he leans in and he says, all of the victims were wearing a mask, Marshall. You've just got to peel it back to see what's behind. And at this point, you'll hear noisy Travis and Cletus coming up the way. Let's take a 5-minute break. Let's check in with Slade. Slade, you have a bag full of skeletal hands. What are you doing now?
Well, I figure I'm going to a doctor anyway. Maybe
True.
they'll be able to tell me something.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Oh, I gotta make a note that last clue for the corset. Great. So you are heading to a doctor. I don't know if we've established if we have a doctor, who the doctor in town is yet.
We have, his name is, because I live in his house.
Oh,
His
okay.
name is Dr. Gabriel Torres.
Dr. Torres. Okay, good. So we'll just say you're in Dr. Torres's little sort of like examination room in his home. And he says, so what happened here to you, Mr. Slade?
I was shot.
Yeah, you got a little bit of well, it's not too bad. He has gloves on. And he says, we just have to well, put a little bit of salve on this, clean out the wound a bit. And he's kind of, cleaning out the wound and getting ready to redress it. And he takes off his glove and dips it into a pot of salve to go to rub it on your leg.
Doctor, the glove, please.
He's like, well, I assure you, Mr. Slade, my hands are perfectly clean.
I am not.
Oh, all right. And he puts the glove back on and then does it, rubs salve on the wound, cleans, puts fresh bandages on, and says, well, there you go, all fixed up.
Before I leave, I was wondering if I could trouble you with another matter.
Certainly, sure, yeah. In my medical opinion, you should avoid getting shot.
That is wise advice.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, there's just a bit of doctor humor there.
I see. In this bag, I have a collection of hands.
I'm sorry?
I found a bag full of hands. I was wondering if you could tell me anything about the manner with which they were removed, or perhaps the age.
And he kind of like, it's like, what an unusual request. Well, he's kind of looking at them. And he's like, well, based off the breaks in the bones, they're fairly clean. I would say a very large cleaving object probably took these hands off. He's like, oh, look, here. And he pulls off. One of the hands has a ring on it. It's a little Aztec eagle. He's like, huh. Like, that's probably worth something, Mr. Slade.
It could be. I appreciate your insight, Doctor.
That's not a clue. That's just extra context for the other clue. If you want to add it, you can. He's like, well, what a fascinating and particularly ghoulish visit from you today, Mr. Slade. How are things on the Vigilance Committee? Sister Mary almost never speaks of it.
They keep us busy.
Yes, I can see. He looks down at the hands. Well, all right.
Doctor, do you have images in your mind when you sleep?
Yes, I have dreams, if that's what you're asking, Mr. Slade.
They are treatable?
Well, Mr. Slade, dreams are a perfectly natural and normal thing. Have you been having nightmares as of late, Mr. Slade? During the Wounded Night, people do have nightmares.
No. Memories of gold that are not mine.
Oh. Well, it's funny. You should mention that because I've been dreaming about gold lately too.
Perhaps it is catching.
Yes, maybe. And then he holds up the severed hand. I hope this isn't catching anytime soon. Puts it back in the bag.
I hope so as well.
Tell Sister Mary hi. Let her know I'm studiously studying my Bible.
There are more important things to study, Doctor.
That's what I keep telling her, but she's gotta be in her bonnet right now. Be in her bonnet for the Lord.
That seems to be a perpetual illness.
And we cut over to, I want to go to the jail now. So Cletus and Travis are coming in.
I stumble out of the cell with this bloody handkerchief, like trying to stuff it into an inside pocket. Well, Cletus Skaggs.
He's like, you say that like you know me, Marshall.
Oh,
I'm sure if I'd met someone as ugly as you, I'd remember you, and I surely don't.
Yeah, and I think I took that. What move is it called? The powder keg move. So I've got the Lamat revolver on a cross draw, and I cross draw it and just hit him full on the face with the steel of the gun.
Travis, how do you react?
There's a smile on Travis's face as he sees, that happened to Cletus because Travis has been trying to restrain himself from doing something similar.
And I pull the hammer back and kind of have it trained on him. Cletus Skaggs, it seems that you came into a bit of property when your brother up and died, and no property tax has been paid for quite some time.
Oh, he didn't die, Marshall. I killed him.
Well, wonderful. Then we have a confession. Deputies, disarm the man.
It's just you, Travis. Are you disarming?
Yeah.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
Oh, Lloyd didn't come.
No, Lloyd. I'm sure Lloyd's going to be really sorry he missed this. So it's just you, Travis.
Yeah, so Travis immediately, whatever weapons I can see.
He's got quite a lot, actually.
Yeah. Now you gotta get in. You gotta get in there, Travis. Now, Cletus, don't you fight back. And I give him my boot a little bit.
He's like,
to discourage it.
He's like, do you really think that this little piddly cell is gonna hold me, Marshall? My boys, they'll be here in no time.
That's what I'm counting on, Skaggs.
Actually, boys and girls, they'll be here in no time.
That's what I'm counting on, Skaggs. But in the meantime, I'm gonna find out what I can from you.
And he just kind of laughs as you're kind of like kicking him and punching him. And he's like, you don't scare me, Marshall. You don't scare me with your little baby laws. And who is this? He's looking at Travis. He's like, this runt that you've deputized. Where'd you find him at? Sunday school?
That's my brother. You better watch your mouth if you don't want a little bit more than friendly jostling.
Oh, And he looks at you, Travis. He's like, nepotism, eh? Well, the story gets much more interesting, doesn't it? Much more interesting. The Sidewinder kid got a job because he's the baby brother of the marshal.
Generally speaking, you look out for your own. You don't shoot him in the back like you did, you coward.
He's like, fair play, Marshal, fair play. But I warn you again that my gang is not going to tolerate me sitting in this cell for very long. We've got rebel gold to find.
That's what I was hoping to hear some more about.
Oh, word.
But first, let's get you situated in your cell. Come on, Travis.
Come on, up you get now.
He's like, hands off, hands off.
No hands on, Travis. You make sure that he doesn't hit his head on the top there, and I'm just bending him over, like making him kind of crab walk into his cell.
He's like hollering back. He's like, that gold belonged to the Confederacy, and now should belong to us.
Ain't no Confederacy no more, mister.
That's right, y'all rebels lost the war. And now
and we're going to get that gold too. Until such time as the South rises again, we'll be ready because we'll have the funds to make it happen.
Listen to him running his full mouth. Oh, you better watch your step on that one there, Cletus. It's a little bit of a misstep, and you might just hurt yourself if you're not. Oh, there he goes. And just trip him and face plant him into the cell.
He's all busted up now.
Travis takes his boots and like shakes them out. I'm sure a knife or two.
Yeah, he's got knives. He's got a stick of dynamite. He's got guns. Yeah, he's loaded for bear.
Well, geez, Wyatt, I ain't never seen so many knives and guns, and looks to me like this fella sure was up to some trouble.
The Skaggs is always up to trouble. But listen, Travis, you take a good hard look at all this nonsense. This is what you need, and you get the wrong side of the law. This is what you need to try and keep him away. And where's it end you up? Well, right back in the hands of the law anyways. Don't follow down that path.
Marshal. It's Del Sol. Marshal, you forgot something on him. And he pulls out a noose. You can't see that, Travis. And he's just dangling the noose above Cletus.
I'll go in and grab it if I can. There's material or...
I think before you even make a move, it's gone.
I'll just slam the jail cell shut.
And let's just have the scene of the two of you for a minute.
Well, Wyatt, what got you so riled up like that? I ain't never seen you wail on somebody like that before.
I've just been wanting to clean up this town and finally have a normal thing to deal with it. Something I can get my hands on. It's always ghosts and other nonsense in this town ever since I've been here. No good to honest, just criminals. So when I got my hands on a good to honest criminal, maybe I am a little bit riled. But let me tell you something about these Skaggs boys. They're not just criminals. They're the worst of the lot, shooting your own brother. Can you imagine?
Well, I've been reading that book that Sister Mary gave me earlier today, and it says in there something about being your brother's keeper.
It's a quick study.
Reckon so. I also say something pretty early on, I reckon, about one brother killing another and how vile that was. That's what we got there in the cell.
That's where all the trouble started, seems to me.
Regular old Cain or Abel or whatnot. So don't feel like you gotta be soft with this one. But we need to know. We need to know what his gang's thinking about, what they're looking for, where they're looking.
Well, if they come looking for him, I'm ready for him. You know I am, White.
I do know that.
Sister Mary, you got a 10, right?
Sure did.
Mm-hmm. You find a strange thing on the side of the church, no less. It's a little smudged, and it looks like at first it looks like a depiction of the cross painted on the side of the church. That would be kind of unusual, but not totally uncalled for, I guess. But as you clean the dirt off, you realize that it's actually a depiction of like a bird, a quail. It's something you've seen before around here, an old Aztec symbol, sign of some Aztec god.
Heathens, all of them.
At this point, you will see Mr. Feeney, the drunk, wandering into the alleyway. Well, I thought my eye did spy Sister Mary erstwhile, and here she is. My eye is correct. It is rarely so. And so I consider this a day to remember, Sister Mary.
Mr. Feeney, I hope you weren't coming back here to relieve yourself.
No, 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 no. Not to my dear lady. I am a gentleman, despite my meager circumstances. I would never, ever relieve myself in front of a woman.
Well, I should hope not.
No, no, no. I just came here on wings of rumors of rebel gold.
Oh, and these rumors you've heard, they say it's back here?
Yes, perhaps, that's what people are saying. Rebel gold, what will we do when we find our rebel gold, Sister Mary? Will we finance a trip to old San Juan, or set sail for merry old England? Will we take up residence in the palace of the Maharaja, or go on an expedition to the tombs of the mighty pharaohs? I fear we won't do any of those things, alas, because no one in this dusty town has that sort of vim, that sort of vitality, that sort of imagination. I'm sure whoever finds it will want to build us a lovely new feed storage bin, or perhaps put a new well in, or some such thing. Very exciting stuff indeed. I suppose it's important that you and I find it first, then.
Well, I should imagine that you expect me to take care of this town before gallivanting off on adventures.
Oh, Sister Mary, this town is condemned. Literally, physically, spiritually, financially, every you can imagine.
Have I heard of Mr. Feeney's confessions?
Maybe. You can decide what he confessed and how you heard it.
I think he's confessed to blackmailing somebody of significance in town, but we don't know who.
Do you bring that up right now?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What do you say?
Well, I do hear that you are looking for some funds in rather unusual places.
Sister Mary erstwhile, I am, above all, a capitalist. I am merely a temporarily embarrassed millionaire.
Well, I should hope that you know that spiritualism is above capitalism
Is
in all
it?
things.
Very interesting, very interesting. But can spiritualism buy me a 2-bedroom suite to rent at the Maxwell Hotel? I think not. Mr. Maxwell does not really go in for prayers. He goes in for cash money.
Well, if you have
Honey?
enough faith and belief, you don't need a 2-bedroom at Maxwell's.
You could just live in the attic of the doctor, I suppose.
Exactly. And be perfectly happy and content.
Hmm. Oh, no sign of rebel gold here.
Well, I suppose
He's like, what is
I-
this? And he goes to that little symbol. He's like, I know this. This is Shipetotek, the god of agriculture and goldsmiths. I reckon that's a clue, Sister Mary.
Well, Elmer, I'm quite surprised that you recognize that so quickly. You don't really strike me as the studious sort.
Yes, well, I am a man of multitudes, Sister Mary, multitudes.
Well, I hope to see you in all your multitudes more often on Sundays.
I highly doubt it, Sister Mary. I have better things to do with my time. 1/7 of one's week. Imagine sitting in a pew. Dreadful.
1/7 of 1 week in order to save your soul? But I suppose if you're not interested in your soul or any sort of saving that way, we don't have much to talk about.
Sister Mary, I prefer to wet my whistle with the devil because he serves better drinks. And he turns
She
and
crosses herself.
wanders down the alley.
Shocking behavior in this town. Honestly, I don't understand why the walkers don't run these people out.
And let's take a moment to take a look at our clues. Okay, good. Someone updated that one clue with the Aztec god. Great. Let's just check in with everybody really quickly, then we'll do a little bit more day phase, and then we'll do a night phase. Slade, what are you gonna do after you're done with Dr. Torres? You can clear that condition, by the way.
Yeah. Maybe see. So I checked the feed store.
Yeah, there was the
See-
stable as well.
Yeah, see if I can see.
You can also
anything
just
in the stable.
investigate the actual like shootout as well, you know, and the chase.
Okay, yeah. Check out the shootout area. Maybe bump into Sister Mary.
Let's just have that scene of the two of you bumping into each other.
Slade will hobble up, limping quite a bit less. Maybe just getting used to not having to limp anymore. And he'll kind of stop and see Sister Mary and say, the doctor says hello.
Oh, he would, wouldn't he? Well, you do look like you're much better, Mr. Slade.
My leg hurts less. Thank you.
That is very good news. I imagine that you are back here in this alley for the same reason that I am.
I followed the spirit of the carriage and horses.
Well, I'm sure you know that carriages don't have spirits.
I like
That
to
would be
imagine that
blasphemous.
from your point of view, Slade, there's like bullets flying past you both right now, right? And gun smoke as the two sides square off, you know.
I would say more, Sister Mary, but I fear I would only disappoint you.
Yes, well, that's pretty common here in this town, but that is okay. I'm used to it. You know, a generous heart and all of that.
You have one of those.
Of course I do, Mr. Slade. I know that you're not very familiar with that, but there's always hope, I suppose. Now, this symbol here. Mr. Feeney tells me that it is the symbol of the thing that we just learned.
Shipetotek.
Thank you. Have you heard of anything about this?
Not that I can recall. But I did find, and he'll dig in the bag of hands and pull out the hand with the ring on it. It looks stylistically similar.
Oh, goodness. Are you just carrying that around?
I'm not sure what else to do with it.
I've got a perfectly nice hole being dug.
We may want to hold on to it until the investigation is complete.
Fair enough, fair enough. Now, where did you find this? This is rather strange.
At K&D Feed and Seed.
Hmm. I
The
can think
doctor helped me locate the ring.
surprised you didn't pocket the ring.
He said it might be worth something.
Ha! I knew it. He was thinking about it.
He's thinking about pocketing it.
Also, if we do find the gold, we must pay August Kilkenny,
Who?
the owner of K&D.
For what?
I made a bargain.
For what?
Access to the hands.
You want us to pay gold for this bag of hands?
Should we find any?
Hmm.
It seems fair.
I don't know if it does. But we can find the bodies that these hands belong to and give them proper burial. That would be right in the eyes of the Lord.
I suppose.
Mr. Feeney wanders back over to the alley. He says, Sister Mary,
Oh, goodness.
I was just across the way and I found this shovel quite abandoned by a hole that had been dug, I would say a good solid, oh boy, 5-6 inches maybe? Maybe that's not being generous enough. I happened to notice you with the shovel earlier today and thought maybe it might belong to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Feeney. I appreciate your help and insight.
Digging for rebel gold, hmm?
Is that what you were doing, sister?
Unfortunately, no. I'm going to have a talk with Deputy Dudley. But that will be for later. Right now, honestly, I'm not sure. Right now, I suppose we should probably be dealing with whatever the situation is going on over at the Red Rock. This rebel gold is, well, God cares for nothing of riches.
We
And so
agree on
neither
this
do I.
point. I disagree on the other. And as he speaks, he'll just walk past and start following the ghost carriage. See if he can track where it ended up and how the shootout went.
You can make the information move with reason for now, just to kind of see if you learn anything.
Seven.
All right, we'll come back to that. So Wyatt, Wyatt and Travis, I guess. You've got Cletus Skaggs locked up. What's next?
Travis, we got to let him dry out a little bit before he's going to talk.
Let him stew a little.
Indeed, indeed. I reckon he is secure enough here for the time being, though nightfall may prove different. Shall we have a little wander over to the Red Rock Cantina dance hall?
I was thinking it might make sense if we try to follow up on what happened there last night.
I reckon so. Strange business there.
That feels like probably a good setup for maybe what you might be doing in the night phase. You don't have to, but that feels good.
Although also we want to guard the cell, because if the skags are coming to bust him out,
Maybe,
they're going to come in the night.
possibly. I owe a clue to Slade. I like just ending that scene with Wyatt and Travis chatting. Sister Mary, you can go upgrade Deputy Wainwright if you wish, or do however you wish to spend the remainder of your day. I think we're gonna let me grab a clue for you, Slade. This was for the Rebel Gold. I don't think it's a well, okay. Yeah, this is your clue. It turns out there is a crawl space beneath the church because you see a couple of the Confederates crawling under the church at the end of the image. That's your clue. The crawl space is not generally known about because the apron of the structure goes down and covers it. I owe you a complication. And I will say that the complication is just that because of the damage of when the church burned, that crawl space is not currently accessible. Let's take a look at the dusk phase. Do we have any playbook moves that fire off in the dusk? All right. Let's do paint the scene. Let me find something here. So we have so far done the children of El Paso, the agriculture, the silent infants, the aged, and the campfire tales. We did those too. We're going to do wards against the wounded knight. For 5 years, the shops around town quietly overstock some items. In the 6th year, the year of the wounded knight, what seemingly ordinary items do the townsfolk desperately buy in an attempt at supernatural protection?
There's sage that is supposedly the kind of sage that the indigenous people around here burn in order to cleanse and protect areas. This isn't that right sage. This is like a cheaper, easier to get sage that the town's shops have bought and stocked up on, but the townspeople don't need to know that.
Horseshoes and iron nails.
Salt.
Yeah, I think like files, like filing iron, so people can make their own shavings.
Before we decide what we're doing at night, I'm going to tell you, Sidewinder Kid, Cletus Skaggs is hollering nonstop. He's hollering, saying he demands a duel with the Sidewinder Kid. Let him out and face him like a man. Otherwise, I say he's a coward. You hear me? The Sidewinder kid's a coward. I say it again to anybody who'll listen. I want to meet the Sidewinder kid out on Main Street at 20 paces. And I say he's a coward, a baby coward. The Lady in Gold is putting him in your path in her way. Travis Walker. What are you going to do about it?
I think Travis Walker may have to engineer an escape attempt.
Very interesting indeed. Sounds like that's what Travis is doing. Slade, what are you doing tonight?
I suppose if yeah, gonna go check out the Red Rock Cafe or the Corset.
Yeah, at the cantina. Sister Mary?
Also going to the cantina.
Wyatt?
Yeah, I think I'm planning on going to the cantina, but something may interfere.
Maybe. We'll see. It depends on how surreptitious Travis is going to be during his breaking out Cletus, just so you shoot him. Let's talk about which unseen we're going to do. All right. Tonight we are going to do... Actually, first, do we have any Janus Mask prompts that need to be resolved?
I do owe you one.
Okay. You want it now, or do you want to wait?
I'm going to hold on because I'm not quite
Okay.
ready yet.
Anyone else? All right. Then we are going to do... We did the barbershop already, didn't we? Let's keep with our theme today. We're going to do the rival general stores. This is on line 85. The rival general stores. After shrinking to less than 200 people during the war, Fort Worth is just starting to recover with the post-war reconstruction. I used to live in Fort Worth for a long time. Instrumental to its growth are the 3 general stores that supply nearby Dallas and folks traveling the Chisholm Trail. The general store owners and their families compete fiercely for the business. Prompt 1 will be for Rob. Prompt 2 will be David. Prompt 3 will be Amanda. And prompt 4 will be Ben. Let us take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do the night phase. The rival general stores. Rob. The general stores offer nearly identical wares. This evening, what single extra item is Mrs. Samuel trying to convince Mr. Samuel to carry in their store to give them an edge, and will it work?
Mrs. Samuel is trying to convince Mr. Samuel to stock Woodworth's Bear Grease. This is a hair pomade for the gentleman. And she's, explaining how, these folks heading out west, they're going to want to look smart for them new towns that are springing up there. And well, this stuff, it smells good, and it's real good at making a man's hair lie flat, even if he's working all day. And Mr. Samuel is unconvinced. He thinks this stuff smells disgusting and is not sure that anyone's going to want to put something called bear grease on their head. And indeed, I think this will not prove to be a best-selling item.
Travis. Your brother is at the Red Rock by the time we start. Do you go into the marshal's office?
Yeah, I think, Travis makes an excuse to well, not an excuse, but he's gonna guard Cletus this evening in case the gang come by and try and bust him free with any more of that dynamite.
When you come in, he says, "Oh, there he is. The little baby managed to tumble out of his perambulator to come take me up on my offer of a duel with the little baby shooting irons."
You sure got a mouth on you, Mr. Skaggs.
Yeah. What are you going to do about it, little baby?
Well, let's just see. Seems to me somehow you managed to get hold of a key to that there cell.
Did I?
And I was forced to defend myself when you unexpectedly escaped.
Yes, I think that's probably right.
And Travis will take a pistol from whatever kind of armory we have, locking up the remaining weapons, and leave it on the desk. And then he will take a key to the cell and toss it on the floor within, just outside of the cell, but within reach. And then he'll walk out and sit on the railing out front of the jail.
Tonight at the Red Rock, everyone, please tell me a little bit like just how you are, just dressed, how you're coming tonight. But also, there's not as many people as usual because people are freaked out about the events that have happened over the last few days. Diamond Dave and Lola are beside themselves because of that. But so what's the vibe like as well? Whoever wants to go first, say.
I think the customers that are there are really nursing their drinks in case they need to skedaddle real fast. They don't want to be tripping over themselves. They especially don't want to be the person really drunk and caught up in some sort of demonic corset. So they're very wary and not really even ordering very much. No one's paying for dances.
Yeah.
And I think the production has been really scaled back in terms of, there's no kind of attempt at a theme or any kind of special production values. It's just straightforward dancing on a stage, nothing more.
I think in one of the back tables there is a couple who are very excited that something may happen here. They're just looking around, very eager.
I think the marshal is there looking somewhat official, like he's not here to enjoy a show or pass an evening, like he's here on business. But also like trying to just exude like a sense of like indifference, like there's nothing really to be worried about here, so that maybe people can relax. I don't know how well that's working though.
Guess we'll see. So we have the dance hall, we have the cantina. Both are open. Both are doing not nearly as much business as usual. I want to know who's in the cantina and who's in the dance hall right now.
I'm going to the dance hall.
Okay.
Oh, come along.
I think I'm kind of patrolling through the place, but right now I'm in the cantina.
Okay. Marshall? This night is about to get very interesting. You hear the smashing of glass in the cantina, and a stick of dynamite, lit, rolls at your feet. Let's go back to the general store. David, Jesse Boaz is in the office trying to think of a holiday sale with a catchy title to put in the window on a sign this winter. What winning slogan is invented then and there?
In a bit of stunt casting, the El Paso TV show has managed to bring in, just for this scene, a John Hamm dressed all in Western as he's scribbling ads on a piece of scrap paper and just smoke it away, trying to figure out what it's going to be. It needs some urgency. It needs something to tell you now is the time to buy. You might not get another chance. And then his eyes light up and he has it. And he writes it down with the cigarette still sticking out of his mouth, his eyes bright. And then he holds it up for everybody to see. Christmas comes but once a year.
Well, let the festivities begin. Travis, you hear the rumble of horses coming up Main Street. You see a man booking it really fast away from the Red Rock Cantina. And you hear the click click of Cletus Skaggs doing the gun thing to click the gun, prepare the gun to shoot. And what do?
I draw redemption and
Or salvation.
salvation. I'm sorry, yeah, and aim it at the man running down the street and shout out, "Hey there, mister, you hold it right there."
He turns briefly back and he actually goes to shoot you. Like he's got a gun too. He's just gonna like shoot and run.
I will gun him down.
Damnation him. Describe how what do you have to describe? It's like how it's gruesome or something like that.
Well, it's salvation I'm using for him. So
Oh, you're using salvation. Oh,
I
how's
was
it beautiful?
saving damnation for
Yeah. How is it beautiful then?
I think he I presume he's the guy who threw the dynamite. I think he, yeah, as the bullet hits him from salvation, he just kind of tumbles forward and almost does an acrobatic roll as he's running full speed, and he comes to rest lying on his back in a kind of cruciform pose, face up, looking very peaceful.
And how does the handle change? What detail are you going to write down?
I think there's a star, but it could be a star or it could be kind of the fizzing spark of a fuse of dynamite. So it's kind of a stylized sunburst design.
Oh, sunburst. I like that. That's good. Yeah, you can write that down. Just as soon as you're done killing that man, you feel cold iron or whatever up against the back of your head from Cletus's gun, the gun you gave him. Wyatt, there's a stick of dynamite about to blow right at your feet. What are you gonna do?
Kick it.
Kick it, indeed. Kick it where?
Kick it straight. I don't know, away.
Away. I guess like
I'm
you can try to kick it like out of the cantina or just deeper into the cantina, I guess.
No, I'm trying to kick it out, and
Okay.
then I'm probably diving behind the bar if I have a moment to do so.
It's going to be the night move with vitality. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
It'll go off before I have a chance to get it safely away from people.
Yeah, it's worse than that. You'll be killed, and it will level the cantina. Let's have a die roll with vitality, please. You're muted.
7.
7. We'll come back to that. Slade and Sister Mary, you heard it too, Wyatt, but you're busy. You hear a gunshot outside. And you hear lots of guns, actually. There's just wild firing going on. Sounds a little bit like what the spectral reverberation should have sounded like, if not for the fact that it's perfectly silent. But there are guys riding through town just shooting the place up. Everyone's screaming, jumping under tables. Show's over. Diamond Dave's like, God damn it, just one more thing. He dives under a table. Lola dives under a table. Lola's looking after the girls, so is Stretch. They're trying to get the girls to safety, I guess. What are the two of you doing?
I'm also going to dive under a table, along with some other people. I don't know. Who am I under the table with?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I think I do know. You're under the table with Edward Reynolds and an associate who you've never seen before. A woman who is, let me get her description, wearing black riding pants and a red and black striped blouse, long dark hair. And that woman looks to Edward and says, well, looks like we have the protection of the Lord at least, Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds says, I fear we haven't had that sort of aegis in quite some time, Felina.
Sister Mary gives them sort of a half glance and says, well, you know, the Lord will protect anyone who has faith. True faith.
Slade, what do you do?
He's going to cast a withering glance, as far as his face gives any expression at all, toward Mr. Edwards, and then start moving toward the door, heedless of the gun's fire.
Mr. Slade, get down!
Edward says, you don't have to worry about him, sister. He's not the sort that has to worry about such things. Not like the rest of us poor mortals.
I think I'm just really flabbergasted at that statement.
Indeed.
Clearly,
Back-
Mr. Reynolds has some problems with fantasy.
The rival general stores. Amanda, out back of his general store, Henry Davis takes a late night receipt of a new self-contained kit that has come in on a freight wagon along the Chisholm Trail. What could a customer build from scratch with the contents of this large packaged kit?
This kit is Dr. Taggart's Miracle Truth-Telling Elixir and Life-Giving Tonic. It's an apothecary kit. It has the little cabinet with the swinging out doors and the little drawers that come out in little bottles with different various types of tonics and powders, etc., so that a person will not have to go to a doctor or, God forbid, a snake oil salesman. That would just be terrible. To get the types of elixirs that they need in their lives. And one of the things that's really he expects to be very popular is the truth telling part. It is supposedly you feed this to you mix up a few things and you feed it to a person and they will be obligated, compelled to tell you the truth.
Wyatt Walker, you react, but you still hear coming in from the street into the cantina. Marshall Walker, is that you? It's Dudley Wainwright. You kick the dynamite out. And there's almost like a moment of like just calm, unknowing, where Dudley says, well, what in the tarnation? And then there's just boom. His little deputy star lands on your boot. But everyone else is fine. Unless you're marking Janus Mask.
I mean, it seems like such a tragedy to let Dudley get blown up by the stick of dynamite.
No, that's what he gets for shirking God's duty.
Well, there's Sister Mary Erskwile's take on that.
God said, dig that hole. If not, I'm going to blow you up with dynamite.
Wow. We'll save the hapless deputy.
Indeed. Go ahead and describe how you safely dispatch the dynamite.
Yeah, I think I kick it out the door, and it's just got a long enough fuse that I'm able to be like, Dudley, get your full self in here fast. And he comes in the door before it goes off.
And it blows. Travis, Slade, well, Sister Mary, everybody, you all, the walls rattle, glass blows out of nearby buildings, windows. Travis, you see it. You see the explosion lighting up the night sky. It would light it up more if not for the fact the sky already has kind of a red glow to it. Cletus laughs. Now that's what I call a real explosion, not a baby explosion. Huh. Sidewinder kid. He's still got his gun up to your back of your neck. He's like, now you're going to come back with me and my friends, little baby. And your brother is going to be forced to come and get you.
I ain't going nowhere with you, mister.
Oh, you don't think so? And you see the rest of the Skaggs gang riding up. You've been hearing them shooting out, just randomly shooting at, things as they ride by. There's about half a dozen of them. And they come up with a horse that's empty for Cletus. And Cletus goes to knock you out with a gun. He's going to pistol whip you. What do you do?
I turn and draw a damnation and shoot him.
I think that, unfortunately, this is not a situation where being faster is necessarily what's needed here, because he's got a gun on you. You can just make the roll, the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
That I'll have let Wyatt down because I've allowed Cletus to escape.
It's worse than that. He's escaped with you, and you are captured. I can't remember if we've decided that quickly grabbing and doing a thing is composure or vitality. I think it's vitality. So go ahead and roll with
That
vitality.
would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a look at your.
You're
okay. Just regular dice is fine.
Okay. Then it's a 12. I rolled a 6 and a 4.
Very good. Interesting. Some noise going on. We'll come back to that in a minute. Slade, 2 of the riders right up ahead of the group. Probably they saw the explosion and they were maybe thinking there's something to take advantage of up ahead, or maybe they need to go grab the guy who threw the dynamite or whatever. But they see you and they just start shooting. What do you do?
Going to try and duck behind cover and get myself somewhere safer.
Make the night move with vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I really don't want to get shot again.
It's worse than that. You really don't want to be dead again, or to have your vessel destroyed materially. Go ahead and roll.
Vitality.
Yes.
That's 8.
Very good. Sister Mary. You hear Felina say, I don't know who those people are out there, but they lack discipline, Mr. Edwards. This is all under the table. She's like, my gang, they would never just ride in all crazy like that, shooting willy-nilly, wildly, throwing dynamite. Too dangerous, too dirty, too messy. What do you think about that, Sister Mary? Do you have any thoughts on how outlaw gangs should conduct themselves?
I imagine they should conduct themselves in the way that the Lord would appreciate. Doing good works.
Felina pulls a gun on you. Maybe you could come back with me and Mr. Reynolds, and you can take our confessions in private.
If you wish to confess, you don't need to be pulling a gun on a person.
It was just a figure of speech, Sister Mary. I intend to take you hostage.
For what reason?
We don't need a reason, Sister Mary. But if you need one, let's just say we might have business with the Vigilance Committee in the future. And we like to get our ducks in a row.
If you think the Vigilance Committee is going to just kowtow to demands of some random people hiding under a table in a cantina, in a dance hall. Well,
She puts the gun to your head and does the thing. Make the night move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
that not just that she will shoot me, but that I have not been given my last rites. And that's going to be very bad for
It's
my
worse
soul.
than that, because Edward Reynolds will give you your last rites right here on the spot. Please roll with composure. And yeah, normal dice is fine.
Okay, well, that's a 2. I would like to mark. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to wait and see what happens first.
Fair enough. Let's take our last stop at the general stores. Ben, as the night goes on, everyone's sleep is disturbed by the sounds of a roaring inferno. The Davis's general store is ablaze and burning in the night. Henry Davis suspects one of the families that owns a rival general store. What evidence suggests they did it? What evidence suggests this was all an accident?
Earlier in the day, Henry Davis had yet another very public altercation with Mr. Samuel, and witnesses would happily report that the fight had ended only with Mr. Samuel being dragged off by his wife, screaming, "I'll burn you to the ground, Davis! You hear me? Burn you to the ground!" And this led to Mr. Davis staying up most of the night in his store beside his shotgun, waiting for Mr. Samuel to just try it until exhaustion got the better of him and he left. But the homeless man stationed behind the store said he tried to tell Mr. Davis that he'd left his lantern burning on the counter, but Mr. Davis didn't seem to understand him.
I love it. Travis Walker, since you got a 12, you can go ahead and send Cletus on his way, spiritually speaking. What does it look like? And which gun do you use?
Oh, damnation. Yeah, Travis already had salvation in his other hand, but his left reaches across him and pulls out damnation, and he turns and just point blank shoots Travis in the stomach. and he falls backward through the window of the jailhouse, you know, the marshal's office, I guess. And you know, the glass breaks of the window, and just pieces of it are kind of piercing through him. It's just a real bloody mess, and his pulse is still going, so there's blood kind of gouting out of this wound in his belly and across, you know, soaking down across him and making a huge pool across the wooden stoop out front of the sheriff's office. And then Travis will immediately turn and face the rest of the gang.
Yeah, good. Slade, you got the mixed result, right?
Yes.
I think you're just going to like twist your ankle, but otherwise describe how you take that condition, and otherwise describe how you get to safety.
Slade kind of hesitates for just a moment, seeing the riders before just diving for the side of the building and hitting the ground. He feels his ankle roll the wrong way, and lets out a grunt and kind of picks his head up and pushes his hair out of his face, and just turns to peek around the corner and see if he can see where they go.
I'll tell you where they go. Wyatt, there's someone shooting back at the gang. You see Dudley. It's not Dudley. Dudley's cowering behind a barrel. But it's a group of rurales. They have rode in, and they are firing back at the Skagses. It's pretty evenly matched. What do you do?
I run out there, and I'm running towards the jail as quickly as I can, because I'm worried about Travis.
Yeah, I think you'll see Travis. You'll see Cletus Skaggs bleeding out all over the place. Also, Travis, put a detail on your gun whenever you get a chance.
Mm.
And there's just gunfire up and down the street at this point. What do you do?
Like, I think for a moment, like, Travis looks almost like the old Marshal, and I freeze. But I can't let him die. And I pull the old Marshal's gun from my hip, and I'm going to try and take out some of these guys before they can get revenge for their leader.
Yeah, I don't need another die roll. I think with the help of with the Rurales behind your back, you'll get the advantage on the gang, and whoever's left will run away or ride off. But you can give us some of the scene if you want.
Yeah, I think there's like a cluster of them that were like, they were drawing on Travis with his back turned, and I fire the center piece of that Lamont revolver, that shotgun piece, and it shoots all this buckshot at him, and that doesn't kill him, it just hits them all, so they can't shoot at him effectively, and they turn and see like the Marshal with like all of these people on horseback coming down on him, and they're like, we got to get
Sister Mary. Edward Reynolds takes the gun from Felina, his henchman. Still trained on you, though. And he says, allow me to administer last rites, Sister Mary. Except it's probably more accurate to call it last revelations. There is nothing beyond this, Sister Mary. There is no heaven. There is no hell. There is just the void. And some of us learn how to crawl out of it. And some of us stay trapped, wandering the darkness forever. I wonder which you will be. And everyone hears one final gunshot coming from the Red Rock Cantina.
I'm a mark a mask.
Or there's another possibility. I have the move as an advance. I took the move. I'm just looking at the name of it. Sorry, that unwelcome snake.
Oh, yeah.
Which allows me to appear once per session in the background of any scene.
I kind of like that as just the fictional reason why Sister Mary doesn't get killed right now. Because he sees you and he gives his speech, Sister Mary, saying, I wonder which it will be for you. And I'm going to give you the condition, the void. But otherwise, you are alive. And they get up. They tip their hat at you, Travis. And with the rest of the patrons, are crawling out under the tables. With the rurales coming in to check on everyone to make sure people are okay. And Cletus Skaggs bleeding out of the front doorstep of the marshal's station. That will conclude the night phase.
Just to double check, did I mark a mask?
You did,
on that?
yes.
Okay, I thought so. I'm just gonna mark the gilded door because I think that'll be fun. I've never
No
marked
one
the
has it
gilded
yet.
door in any game that I've played, so.
Does yours have anything different other than just most beloved?
Nope, just
Okay.
most beloved.
All right then.
I'm gonna sit here with my two permanent conditions. Well, one semi-permanent, but it'll be fine.
Let's go to the dawn. No threat was resolved. Let's go to dawn questions. No one's getting the first two because we have not answered a question or resolved a threat tonight. We might have gotten echoes though, so let's go through the echoes. Sidewinder Kid.
No, I was tempted to do something with kind of the bear grease, but I thought it would be a bit clunky, so I left it.
Okay, very
unsaid.
good. No worries. Sister Mary, did you get an echo in the night?
No, there was way too much going
There was a
on.
lot
It was
going
too
on.
action-packed.
Very action-packed. Slade, did you get an echo in the night?
That's what I was going for. Pushing his hair out of his eyes. If he just used the bear grease.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Wyatt.
I don't think so.
Let's go to the other questions here. Travis, did you stick up for the little guy?
I stick up for the little guy.
Unless you maybe include like yourself, possibly, since he kept
Yeah.
calling you baby the whole time.
Right. Or the only other possibility is that, if I did appear there to save
Oh yeah,
Mr. Mary.
I think combined, I think they'll count enough for you to get the XP. Did you show off with a firearm?
Shot a guy running, shot a guy at point blank range who was about to cold cock me.
I'll take it. Sister Mary, did you try to convince someone to do the right thing? Yes, you did. Did you speak on matters of theology with anybody who would listen? Yes, you did.
Constantly,
Yeah,
unendingly.
the whole session. Did you happen to do anything for Pius?
I don't think so. I don't think I really did anything that was
Charitable.
particularly charitable. Yeah.
Slade, did you express a clear preference for the night over the day?
No.
Did you have a misunderstanding with another character because they perceived you as the host? Kind of with the doctor a little bit, but
yeah, I was thinking with August Kilkenny, he was offering him things for the horses that.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, I think in both cases. Sounds good to me. And Wyatt, did you stare mournfully at someone who reminds you of the old marshal? Oh, you did, right at the end. Did you abuse your badge to gain the upper hand? Yes, you did. So those are all good. Mark New Dawn questions if you wish. Let's take a look at that. What's it called? That darn kid or something, that rotten kid. You did follow your task, so you're good to go as far as that goes, Sidewinder Kid. And let's do Janus mask prompts. I think we have a fair few on the table right now, at least a couple, I think. Whoever wants to go, take it away. Or maybe we don't. I don't know.
I've got one. Does anybody else have one?
I have one as well. Yeah. a mask of the past. I can go ahead if you like.
Go for
So the
it.
prompt is narrate a flashback to where you tried to show off for your sibling and it went horribly wrong. So I think we see a younger Travis, maybe around 12 years old. And he has a line of old glass bottles lined up on a fence post. And he has his Winchester rifle, or the family's Winchester rifle. And he's deliberately waiting until he knows Wyatt can see him, and then will attempt to, do some quick shooting to break all these bottles lined up on the fence post. But he's too busy watching for Wyatt and not really paying enough attention to what's going on around him. And as Wyatt does step out of the house, Travis meets his eye and then immediately turns, bringing the rifle up to his shoulder and shoots in quick succession, smashing the glass bottles. But what he failed to notice was that one of the family's horses was had walked behind the fence post there, and one of the bullets goes straight through the bottles, and the horse gives out a shriek and falls to the ground.
All right, awesome. Who wants to go next?
So I'm narrating a flashback to a tender moment between you and the old marshal. I think it's shortly after Wyatt fled from whatever town he was in and sought protection from his uncle. Wyatt was covered in blood when he arrived, in great distress. And I don't think he comes out of his room for several days. And his uncle goes in finally, kind of bringing in a meal. And Wyatt's just sitting there on the bed. He still hasn't changed from his clothes. And his uncle sits down next to him and kind of sits the food on the ground and just waits. And eventually Wyatt kind of starts to cry, and his uncle puts an arm around him and just holds him, doesn't ask any questions or demand to know more. All he needs to know is that his nephew is really, really hurting and really, really regretting whatever happened. And he's not trying to talk him about this is kind of the consequences of what's happening. He's just letting all of that be aside, because that's not what's important right now. What's important is that his nephew knows that he still cares, that he cares about him, that he understands how hard it is to lose somebody, that there's nothing like the regret that he feels right now.
Fantastic. Who wants to go next? Is there any more? Okay. Then I think that is everything. Let's go to stars and wishes. I'll go first today. I really enjoyed this session. It was really good. Lots of really fantastic character moments. Lots of good conversations between the player characters. I got to have fun with a couple of the NPCs. Mr. Feeney is very, very fun to play. I thought that I had a lot of fun playing Cletus Skaggs. That was really enjoyable. And I'm glad that Cletus got what was coming to him. I think he really deserved that. And I thought it was fun to have the the action-packed night phase. I thought that was really, really enjoyable because it flowed directly from decisions that the marshal made in the day phase, you know. So I thought that was really fun. Yeah, it was good. The Janus Mask prompts were good, and the whole like little the Rebel Gold VR shootout spectral reverberation thing was something that I added to the threat, and I wasn't sure if it was going to work in play. I thought it might come off kind of weird, but I actually think it was really great. And I like how, you know, it was once again like Slade kind of interacting with the world differently than everyone else, which I thought was really fun. Yeah, so it was great overall. Yeah, good stuff.
A lot of mine are the same. I I loved Cletus. He was so fun. He was so funny. There was something like about him that reminded me of my older brother when I was a kid, you know, like you're just being a little baby and all of this stuff. It just it was so.
Well, I just finished reading Stephen King's It. I just finished it yesterday, and Henry Bowers, like the bully character, he's always like calling them baby this, baby that, your little baby
Yeah.
damn, your little bit. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking of that.
Yeah, and it was very like very kind of bullying in a way that I thought that was just a lot of fun, and it was really great to see him get his comeuppance. I also like Slade following around all the specters for their, you know, he can see this and nobody else knows what he's up to, and it must be so strange to see it. And I thought that was great. I love the Marshal getting really violent with Cletus. I thought that was a really, we haven't really seen a lot of that side of Wyatt, so I thought that was a really fun character bit. And I really like that Travis broke Cletus out of jail. That was great. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked that. I like that kind of arc we had with Travis between Sister Mary giving him the Bible at the beginning, and then that ending being quite Old Testament. You know, that it just was lots of death and destruction and wrath being rained down upon the gang. Yeah, I also thought Cletus was great. In terms of wishes, I really wanted to get somewhere further along with the corset, but, but I think that new threat was just too, I don't know. It's so classic and compelling, right? That it was just all the attention went to that, and justifiably so. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of shoot 'em up Western that we got out of this session. It was a lot of fun. There's a fast paced night scenes. It's like half an action and move, and half an action and move. It was like the perfect kind of like that's how that scene would have played out in the movie. Like that's how you get that kind of those smash cuts, or how you get the different violence happening at different places, but like they're interconnected. Even up to the point of like you've locked the audience in to the concept of like this is the timing of everything, but then you break the expectation by having the kid show up because you didn't tell the audience, oh, that actually happened like several minutes later in enough time where the kid could have shown up after the violence kind of wrapped. So to save Sister Mary erstwhile. So that was really cool. I loved Cletus. I was like, I think Jason's been reading it, and the baby thing is like happening, but it's like a different kind of baby thing than that one. I really love it. That was like just how I kind of had Cletus in my mind, is just this like imminently punchable person. Like, and it was perfect. And it's like Daniel and I were joking when we created Cletus that it's like, okay, so how long can the kid wait before he shoots Cletus? like probably like real fast. Like that's probably happening like immediately. And originally there were in the version that Daniel wrote, there were two Skaggs brothers, but we killed one of them off and let the other brother have done it. So that way is like he's even worse. Like he's just rotten to the core. So how long is he gonna last? I don't know. But there's other gang members that can step in. But Cletus is the poster child of this gang to kick it off, so everybody understands exactly what the Skaggs brothers are like. So I loved all of that. That was perfect. Wishes. I'm getting close on the Marshal. I've got one Mask of the Past left, and not a whole lot of Masks of the Future. So I'm trying to pick out a moment for a good proper send off for the Marshal. It would be poetic to do the last Mask of the Past and and then like the Blood-Soaked Portal like in the same session. I don't know if that'll happen, but if it does, it'd be really cool because that's the old Marshal dying and this Marshal dying, and that would be that'd be kind of perfect. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Yeah, definitely want to try and wrap up the corset, especially because if we can wrap up the corset, I could probably get another assemblage down, and that would be a massive.
Oh, is that the last hangover from the assemblage? Is the corset?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic. Ben, any stars or wishes?
Yeah. So Sister Mary trying to help Travis appreciate the Bible more by substituting cowboyisms was just a real highlight. Also, right at the end there, Travis's Mask of the Past mishap. That was really sad, and I think imagining how that played out with Wyatt and Travis was really kind of touching. A big star for Cletus, and also a big star for Wyatt's interactions with Cletus. I really liked the reacting to Cletus bragging about killing his brother. Well, that sounds like a confession. That was perfectly
I thought the inclusion
timed.
of Del Sol in and around that scene was really great too. Like Del Sol kind of like added a layer of a layer of weirdness to the whole sequence, which I thought was really fun.
Del Sol gets a star for me in general. I really enjoy every time he makes an appearance. I know it's probably impossible, but I really hope someday that Slade gets to meet him.
Yeah, I don't know. Mechanically it's not possible, but who knows if it makes sense in the fiction if it ever happens or not. But I think it's not really stated in the playbook like what Del Sol is or what Del Sol's supposed to be. I've always interpreted like Del Sol is the Marshal. That's how I've always interpreted it. Like, and because the movie is called Cellmate, so it suggests that like the Marshal is also in a cell, right? That they're in the cell together, right? But in this case, it's kind of it's a metaphor, I think, So I don't know, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe Del Sol is more of a Man in the Sun mask kind of, god-like character. Who knows? I mean, it could be anything, but.
Right. I mean, it's not fair because we like worked on it together, so we both had that expectation. So we've been like playing it back and forth.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I don't know if other people will get that same experience. I hope some people might get into that experience, especially if they watch the series and understand that's kind of a part of it that we hinted at but did not require.
Yeah, it's not stated explicitly who Del Sol is, but it in my head canon, like Del Sol is like it is the Marshal. Like it's the Marshal, like kind of some part of their id, that
for
manifests.
That's how I imagine it too. It's he had all this badness in him and he had to lock it up.
Yeah. Any other? I haven't said my wishes. I too am curious to see when and how the Marshal's story ends. I'll be curious to see, some characters in the know have dropped a lot of hints about Slade's true nature. So I'm curious if like anyone will like follow up on that, right? The Reynoldses have made their association with Slade very clear, and they are Slade's presence in the Vigilance Committee is probably the only reason why the Reynoldses even care about the Vigilance Committee. They probably would just ignore you otherwise. So that is an interesting aspect. I do hope that Isabella gets more screen time. We've seen a fair amount of Edward, so I want to get Isabella in there. Isabella's interesting though. Something I'm discovering is I'm playing the two different, because I'm playing two campaigns right now. One's not a full campaign, one's just a little short series, but I've noticed that like it's really interesting, the dual masterminds, because they both can like function in different types of environments and contexts. So Isabella is really, really good with the bootstrapper, with the charlatan, like basically a lot of like the social or like financial or like, you know, those kind of like characters Isabella is really good at interacting with. And then Edward's kind of there for the more like, you know, the supernatural and the gritty, you know, interactions. It's kind of fun. It's a fun thing. And just as it turns out with this group, we're more of an Edward group than an Isabella group. So yeah.
Yeah, wishes. I'm excited to see how the core set's going to turn out. I want to see more of Lady Antonia because she's great. Of course, I love all the mastermind stuff. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Slade, considering what people know now. I think it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. Yeah, basically, I just want more El Paso, please.
Any other stars or wishes? Okay, well, we are ending on ahead of time today. So thank you all so much. Let's wave goodbye to people watching the video.